Hi, everyone. It's Heidi here with Shamaya Tantra. I'm here for Q&A Tantra Tuesday. And Tantra is an ancient Asian body of work to help us integrate our spirit, the entire spirit of the universe, into our body. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about a question that came up around how can Tantra be helpful for stress and anxiety? So, anxiety is one way of looking at it is it's the experience of being separate from your body. And if you mull that over a little bit, it makes sense because our mind is something that's capable of being a lot of places at once. You might have had this experience. I got this to do at 4 o'clock and I got to do these 3 things before that. And then the kids pick up and then make that meal. And there's so many ways that we're being pulled in an instant when we're in the mind. There is infinite cycles of thought that our mind can go on. Our body's a little bit different. Our body's that simplifying force. It's in one place at one time. And if you've ever felt yourself being completely in one place at one time, it's pretty hard to feel stressed there. That's another way of saying being present. So our body is kind of this secret hack that we have access to help us be present. Hey, everyone who's on the call, thank you for being here. So if anxiety is the experience of being separate from our body, then it follows to help with that, we need to connect more to our body. So you've heard this a million times. It's almost becoming cliche. Be in the body, connect to the body. Okay, but this is actually the essence of Tantra. It's embodying spirit, bringing spirit into the body. So I'm going to share with you 3 practices that you can try depending on where you're at. If you're feeling a little bit of anxiety is creeping up, a little bit of stress, and want a way to manage that. Now, these techniques may not be strong enough for a full-out panic attack. This is kind of a way to maintain so that hopefully things don't get to that level. You can think of it like brushing your teeth or showering, just something that we do every day to close the gap between that separation. So let's practice something right now. I want you to bring your arms and place them around your shoulders and give yourself a little hug. And you can move your hands around a little bit. Give yourself a squeeze. If you're driving, don't do this, and don't watch this video if you're driving. But if you can, give yourself the hug and touch different parts of your body, different parts of your arm. So in Tantra, we often talk about different touches as they relate to the elements. And you can use and kind of be inspired by the energy of fire when you touch, and that has a very awakening, enlivening quality to it. Might not be what we want here for anxiety. You can use a water touch, which is a very sensual, can be quite an erotic way of touching. It can be very calming as well. But the best kind of touch that I recommend for this exercise is an earth touch. And so what do we know about earth? Earth kind of has this really sturdy quality to it. It doesn't tend to move a lot. If the earth is moving, something a little out of the ordinary is going on. And so when you're using the earth touch, you're going to stay in one place for a while. It's a slow touch. And you're going to squeeze. Earth has a lot of weight to it. And so you're going to touch yourself. Hey-oh, you're going to squeeze yourself. It's not getting any better, is it? In a really grounded kind of way. So try that for a little bit. And as you do this, I want you to bring in a breath. And then let go of that breath. And you can even give yourself the tight squeeze, wrap your arms around like you were loving, hugging someone that you really loved, really appreciated. And then if you want to amp this up, there's some parts of our body that are really sensitive, have a lot of nerve endings that we can use as a kind of master version of this exercise. So know where your mind's at, but I'm actually thinking about your face. And a lot of areas, especially your mouth, your lip areas, have a lot of nerve endings. And as crazy as it sounds, I want you to actually try touching your lips in a really kind of ground way. And it's hard to do while I'm talking, but you can just place your hands on your lips. You can move them around a little bit. For this one, you don't want to use just one finger. You want to use a few different fingers. And what this does is it gives your nervous system a feeling of predictability, of comfort, because all the stuff that's happening in your mind is so unpredictable. This touch and this highly sensitive part of your body being rhythmic and slow and grounding can send a very loud message to your nervous system to relax. So that might be all fine and good if you're sitting alone in your living room. But what are we going to do if we're in public? What if you're in a meeting at work and you start to feel this little bit of stress and anxiety come up? Well, a really subtle way that you can kind of practice Tantra incognito is place your hand somewhere on your body. So you can place your hand on your lap. You can, if you're sitting with your legs crossed, you can place your hand on your leg. And then bring all of your focus to that part of your body. Notice what you feel. Notice the texture of the material of your pants or your skirt. Notice the temperature of your leg. Notice if there's any kind of sweatiness on the palm, or maybe you feel a little drying out by placing your palm on the fabric. And then you can go ahead and feel this from the other side too. So what is your leg feeling? How does your leg feel when your hand is touching it? It's kind of like these two parts of your body are having a conversation and you're listening in, finding all the sensations that you feel. And then you're going to bring in the inhale and the exhale. So you can actually break this down even further to squeeze even more out of this exercise by focusing on different parts of your hand. So if you're following along, I want you to bring your attention to the pad of your pointer finger. Just notice that one small part of your hand. And then place your hand back on your lap or your leg and notice how the sensations feel for the pad of your finger. Notice the temperature here. Notice the texture of the fabric here. And you can go even further and feel inside the tip of your finger. And notice if there's a spacious kind of feeling inside your finger, or if it feels kind of compact, kind of dense in there. And some of this might be imagination, but it's going to work the same way, whether it's objective reality or imagination. Now, by this time, you may have missed some important bullet points from the meeting. So I want you to get the full experience here while you can focus. And in the meeting, do it in little segments. So you can go in, feel your hand, and then tune back into the meeting, feel your hand. And eventually, if you practice this, you'll be able to do both at once. But this is a really sneaky, incognito way to connect with your body in those moments. And again, the kind of definition of anxiety that we're working with is the experience of separation from your body. So if you're having this conversation between your hand and your leg, your consciousness, more of it is coming down from your head and down into your body. That's going to eliminate some of that anxiety. So let's say that you've got a stressful meeting coming up. You've got maybe a call to go into your boss's office. Maybe you've got to deliver some difficult feedback to someone, and you don't have a lot of time. So you might know some great techniques. You might have a yoga practice. You might know EFT. But right now, you've got 5 minutes to walk from your cubicle or office to theirs. So here's something you can try. And this is something that I learned in my time staying in Buddhist monasteries in Thailand. And it's called the walking meditation. I used to do this for about an hour a day. I had a teacher who was critiquing and who I could ask questions. And believe it or not, the walking meditation is quite the science and art to master. So I'm going to share with you a little bit here today, and then you can practice it and let me know if you have any questions or just how your experience was with it. So the walking meditation, we're going to break up each step into 2. So if you can, I want you to practice and go along with this as I'm doing it so you can feel it. And then, lucky you, you have me on a call so you can actually ask questions real time or share your feedback. All right, so this is a 2-part step. The first thing you're going to do is step with your heel, and then the ball of your foot follows. So we're kind of breaking up something we think of as one action into 2. So heel and then foot. The other distinguishing feature of this step is it's slow. So each step is going to take you between 1 to 2 seconds. If you're in the office, it's going to be closer to 1. And as you step, notice that there's a sensation of your foot meeting the ground. So you're going to, similar to the last exercise, tune into that sensation. Okay, what does it feel like when my foot meets the ground? My heel, and then the ball of my foot. And notice that it actually feels different. Each part of your foot has a different sensation when it meets the ground. So as you're walking, maybe you only have 10 steps, but if you're focused on your breath and the sensation in your foot for 10 steps, that's going to connect you more to your body, and that's going to help already with the anxiety. And interesting thing about the body is that it's actually, in the tantric system, the most complete level of our reality. Our emotions, our thoughts, all the esoteric things that you might have read about, those are all levels of reality. But when you bring those into the body, then all the levels of reality are manifested at once. And that's why it's our hack for anxiety, because we're in one place at one time. When you're in your mind, you're in infinite places, infinite time. If you can bring all those down, and it's not that you're relegating them or ignoring them, you're actually bringing them in to your body. So that's just a side note. I'm going to continue with this exercise. And just like in yoga, where there's different variations for every pose, you get to choose your variation for this exercise. So I've just given you the first one, and this is enough. That's all you need. But if you want to take it further, then you can bring in a little bit of a visualization. And so when you put your heel down, you think about forgiveness. And my favorite definition of forgiveness is from Mark Twain, and I just love this. He says, "Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it." And so use this visualization of the fragrance of the violet that others have given you, and let that spread through the ground as you place your heel down. So the heel is forgiveness. And then as you bring the ball of your foot down and lift it up, you're going to kiss the earth. So it's forgiveness, kiss the earth. Forgiveness, kiss the earth. And you can actually picture that fragrance, picture the violet and that essence of forgiveness coming out from your heel and blessing the whole ground. Just allowing those violets to bloom and sprout all over the office. And then if you want more, if that's not enough, the third level is you're going to bring in a affirmation. When you're kissing the ground, you're going to silently say the words, I love you. And this is not an I love you to anyone, anything in particular. It's just a general transmission of I love you out into the world. And so with your heel, you're spreading forgiveness. With the ball of your foot, you're kissing as you leave and saying, I love you. So there's a lot going on in your 10 steps as you move from your cubicle to the office of your coworker, and a lot can happen in those 10 steps. So I'm going to check in with the comments here. Interesting. So Leroy has another idea, and it sounds like you're keeping your palms a few millimeters apart and then focus on what gets created. So Leroy, are you feeling the energy between your hands that's being generated? That would be a more subtle way of practicing this technique. So if you get bored of everything else I already suggested, you can try that. And I do recommend EFT. It's a really helpful way to reduce anxiety. It's another thing that's tough to do in public. But if you haven't heard of EFT, it's another one of those techniques that kind of seems a little bit whacked out. But in my experience, it has actually been really beneficial. I think there's a guy, Brad Yates. You can check out his videos. He's got some good stuff. All right. So I'm going to wrap up for today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you next week at the same time. Have a beautiful night. Bye for now.